Good evening and welcome to Question Time. Tonight, it's Newport's turn to ask the questions. And with us tonight, Mike O'Brien, Solicitor General, Priti Patel for the Conservatives, Len Vidopik, Liberal Democrat spokesman for Wales and Northern Ireland, Peter Hitchens, columnist for the Mail on Sunday, and the former Cabinet Minister, now independent MP, Claire Short. So, welcome to Wales. I said last week we'd have Plaid Cymru on the panel. In fact, they're going to come on another programme before the May elections happen. If you want to comment on anything that's said tonight, you can do so following the instructions on the screen. And remember, if you're watching at home, go to CFAX page 155. You can see what others are saying about the comments that are made here.
Those people who deal with nuclear weapons in the MOD.
All right, we must go on because we've got a lot of questions here tonight. I have to say that was the question most asked on our website, but I'd like to take a question now from Kachi Okezie, please.
At over £9 billion, is the Olympics still a good cause?
9 billion, which is just nearly half Trident, isn't it, as a matter of curiosity? And how long did the Olympics last? 2 weeks? Peter Hitchens.
I don't think it was ever a good cause. I have never understood from the start why people were so keen to have the Olympics here. It baffles me why we should have this festival of cheating and drug-taking, as Claire rightly points out. If we need an excuse to improve our public transport, I can give you plenty of others. And it seems to me that it's going to saddle us with a gigantic debt. My suggestion is we offer it to Poland. Since most of the people who are going to build the Olympic Stadium come from there, they might as well stay at home and build it there and get rid of it now before it's too late.
Len Vidopik?
I'm in favour of the Olympic Games. I think it brings great prestige. And when it's done well, it actually leads to lasting benefits for the country. And I think that the government was right to go for the Olympic Games. What I find extraordinary is to get a statement in Parliament which amounts to the government saying, oh, I'm afraid the original estimate of £2.5 billion was out by billion quid was out by 7 billion quid. The contingency that they've now put in is bigger than the original budget. Now, I don't quite understand how any business person would ever let themselves into that position. The answer, I think, there is that perhaps the government was either lying to itself or lying to the country in order to get the Olympic Games. We're in a bind now. We can't throw the Olympic Games away, though Peter's made a valiant suggestion. So we have to get through this. But there's one very simple message to every minister and to the Cabinet. No more blank cheques. Don't let us get stung by the opportunism of people who will be on the make in this, in creating the Olympic Games. And fundamentally, let's find out how any government can be out by 7 billion quid on a £9.3 billion budget, because that simply isn't good government.
The man in the striped T-shirt there, the blue and grey, in the third row from the back. You, yes.
Have the government lost the plot over the Olympic costing? And is it yet another example of the government's failure with regards to financial policy?
Priti Patel, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a classic example of total economic mismanagement. I mean, for a start, I don't think the government knows how to add up. It's as simple as that. I mean, how can their figures be so, categorically wrong? And now this debt has trebled 3 times, and the downside to all of this is now the government is now raiding national lottery money that was set aside for good causes, which is an absolute scandal. It really is.
Are you against the Olympic Games?
I'm not actually.
Why would you pay for it then?
Well, I think, first of all, it would have been about setting out a proper budget, a properly, costeted budget. And
supposing it came out at just over £9 billion,
well,
what would you have done then?
I think there would have actually been a bit of a reality check, first of all, on the overall figures and the costs involved. But coming back to the mismanagement side of things, I think it's breathtaking that the government got 2 things wrong. One was that they failed to anticipate the level of VAT. They forgot to work out the VAT on the building costs. I mean, I think that says a great deal. Secondly, there was no contingency. Now, the point is, as Lembit made the observation too, if you're in business, you would have a proper costed plan, basically. You'd be working out your figures from day one. You'd be able to work out a contingency. So certainly from
would you announce your contingency so that all the suppliers could read that you've got 2.7 billion as a contingency?
You don't. You know that you've got to think about security costs, all sorts of things. But the government woefully underestimated all of this.
You say in the fourth row.
I think these things are always talked about in such a negative way. I remember back to the day in July 2005 when it was announced and the country was euphoric. I was driving my car and I had to really sort of steel myself to think, you know, what, oh, fantastic. And they always overspend.
Did you have to pull into a lay-by?
I did. I had to calm down. But these things always overspend, and I think that's a fact of life. And I accept the sums have been miscalculated. But it'll be fantastic when we get there. The legacy will be fantastic. It'll be great for the country.
But it's a shame we have to go through all this pain, the trials and tribulations in getting there. I agree. I think it'll be a wonderful opportunity, you know, great celebration in the United Kingdom. It'll be great. The legacy will be fantastic. But it's, again, you know, public opinion suffers during this process and this journey too. The public becomes more and more cynical about the government's handling of it.
The man at the back there, in the background.
Yeah, everyone seems to be mentioning the legacy of the Olympics, but do people not remember that the Olympic Games ruined Atlanta? Greece is still struggling from their Olympics. Yeah, and also, it was only 2 or 3 years ago that Barcelona finally paid off the Games, and their Games cost a significant amount less
so than the London Games. Have gone for it?
Should let them go to Madrid.
OK. Michael Brown? Or Paris, perhaps?
Well, I think having the Olympics coming to Britain is good for London, it's good for Birmingham, near my constituency.
What's it going to do for Newport?
I don't know what's going to happen in Newport, but you'll see. You will see in Newport and no doubt across Wales and across the whole of the United Kingdom, we're going to see young people training and hoping that maybe one day they will be able to compete at the Olympics in the UK. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It's going to change people's attitude to health and to ensuring that they take physical exercise. Perhaps all of us ought to look at that.
And the money? The money.
Let me talk about the money, because there are two lots of funding here. One is for the actual sports facilities, and the other is for the regeneration of particularly parts of London.
But didn't they know they were going to have to do that when they announced it?
Well, there was £1 billion or so for regeneration in the original budget.
What we also want to do is make sure that we leave a long-term legacy that benefits the whole area. It is the case that the
You
Olympics...
didn't say this at the beginning.
Well, no, it's also that we've seen an opportunity here to ensure that there's a greater degree of regeneration in deprived areas, particularly in London, but also elsewhere, and the costs of that have to now be factored into the overall cost of the Olympics.
But why didn't you announce it, the simple point, why didn't you announce it at the beginning, or had you not decided that at the beginning?
No, we decided we wanted some regeneration. We now want to ensure that it's long-term regeneration, and there are costs attached to that, and we've got to factor it in. Let me just deal with the question on the lottery, because it is an important one. It is the case that this regeneration and the new facilities put in will increase the land values. As a result of that, there'll be a payback. In due course, the land will be worth more on which these facilities are. And at that point, we're looking at making a payback to the lottery. So, in effect, it's a loan. So I think people are able to look at it in that way.
Just one simple question. How come you didn't know this 2 years ago? How come you suddenly discovered the need to invest £7 billion extra now? Perhaps people would have accepted the original budget, but what's not acceptable is the fact that you got it so desperately wrong, because it means that no one can trust the figures that you put out, and that's just not credibility.
Okay. The man there in the T-shirt, the white T-shirt.
What do you say to small grassroots projects and small organisations who, by the time you resell back that land in, 10 years' time, will be totally gone? Totally gone.
Claire Shaw, what do you make of that?
I agree with the point you're implying and what the guy at the back said. I think every Olympics except one has made desperate losses, and you get very, very big facilities in one place. What could we get right across this country for young people who've got nothing to do in communities up and down the land out of £9 billion? And I don't think the Olympics is a good idea. I think East London does need better transport, but you should do that in a systematic and organised way. And then even ripping off the lottery, so even less facilities for people all across the country, I think it's a bad idea. And then there is a gross incompetence on the figures. Yeah. And you know what? They'll go up more still. This
more
is only
still?
Well, they will. This is only the beginning. I bet you.
What's your estimate, Claire?
I don't know, but it's happened all over the world. The figures go up and up, and Britain isn't good at bringing in these big projects to budget. And this is only a few months.
Should we not have done it, in your view?
No, I think we should have put a lot more money and facilities into sports and other activities for young people across the country, which are really lacking.
A lot of people with their hands up, but we've got a lot of questions. I think we better go on. Just take one question from the person at the very back there. It looks like a young person.
Is it just another Millennium Dome, but with a bigger price tag?
Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
So
we were conned into thinking that was going to be a really big thing, a really good thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Will it be the same?
Let's go on to another question. Just before we do, next week we're in London. We've got a special question time on the 4th anniversary of the Iraq War, or the beginning of the Iraq War. That's next week. And the following week we're going to be in Bath on the 29th. If you'd like to come to either programme, the details of how to apply are on the screen. I'll give the details in full later. And remember always you can get the highlights of this programme as a video podcast from that website.